Hi, my name's Laura Keller, and I'm delighted to be here all the way from California, and also pleased to be one of the forum sponsors. Up next is a panel about novel treatments for postpartum depression. As a survivor myself, I speak on behalf of the 800,000 women and families that suffer each year. These treatments cannot come fast enough. I'm personally very excited that Greg Mays will be sharing about the clinical trial that Reunion Neuroscience is conducting to bring a novel psychedelic treatment to the market. I'm incredibly optimistic, based on both the compelling data in the field as well as lived experience, that rapid-acting psychedelic treatments have the potential to be life-changing for those affected by postpartum depression. Moderating the discussion with Greg and Dr. Dixit is Maya Goldman, a seasoned federal health policy reporter who currently serves as a healthcare reporter for Axios and is co-author of the daily health newsletter, Axios Vitals. Welcome, Maya.
Thank you so much, Laura. It's great to be here. Thank you to the Policy Center for having me, and thank you to the panelists for sharing the stage. We are going to get right into it. There's a lot to discuss, and you both have brought some visual aids, which is very exciting. So we'll start with you, Greg. If you could just give a little introduction into Reunion and who you are, and you can just use the clicker to go through your slides.
Great, thank you, and thank you to Laura and Maya for moderating, and also really for the Policy Center for Maternal Mental Health has really been a great partner to Reunion as we've set out on this course since the fall. So I remember them asking me at the beginning when we first met, would you be willing to come to Washington, D.C. for our conference? And it seemed like it was going to be a very long time from then. But I'm happy to say since I first met Joy and the team that we've made a lot of progress. Reunion is a very small, privately held company based in Morristown, New Jersey, that is developing ethically, which I mean in compliance with the FDA's clinical trial guidance on psychedelic therapeutic, how to develop a fast-acting psychedelic compound. And when we first started out, we wanted to make sure, we thought, well, where could this really fit in the paradigm? And we are the only company in the United States that is developing and looking at moderate to severe postpartum depression using a psychedelic-derived therapeutic. So postpartum depression made a lot of sense. I don't have to tell this audience that it's a huge unmet medical need. It's a de novo population, meaning that people have not tried multiple therapies generally. I mean, it's sort of women can present themselves sort of, they haven't gone through, they don't have treatment-resistant depression. They're not on their third or fourth line. They need help quickly, and we all know that in this room. So we developed RE104. We are now in the midst of a study that is looking at moderate to severe women at 36 sites across the country. And here's the eligibility criteria. I've left information and brochures out by the water and on the table for you. And we're looking at getting 72 patients involved in this study. And I mean, I'm a very transparent person, so I'll tell you, like, look, if you can tell 10 people about this study that have moderate to severe postpartum depression, I'd really appreciate it. We're 2/3 of the way done. We want to advance clinical research for women who are in need. We're in phase 2, 72 women. So if you want any additional information, you want to speak to somebody about it, this website, ppdreconnectstudy.com, has everything that you or a loved one or a friend would wish to know. Our plan is to get through this phase 2 proof of concept study, and hopefully we will finish the study by the end of June. This summer is what we're targeting, and we'll be into phase 3 for with the eye on a regulatory approval this time next year. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking with Maya and Dr. Dixit.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. And thanks a lot, Greg and Maya. So I'm Shailja Dixit, a physician by training. I actually suffered from postpartum anxiety. I am not a mental health specialist. I'm an internal medicine physician, but it was pretty daunting. And, my frustration was stigma that was associated with it. I kept on trying to tell my friend OBGYN that I need help, and I was dismissed like really bad that it happens. It's, just take a break. You are just exerting too much. It's sleeplessness, and it is beyond that. And I'm originally from India. My mom, who was here to help me, and she's awesome. And I used to tell her, I'm not feeling quite where I should be. And she's like, just have ginger tea. It's okay. And I said, no, Mom, it's really beyond ginger tea. So that's how, that's how Curia was born. When the time came, I decided that I had to create a platform, more importantly, that can take care of stigma. And that's why a digital solution, which I believe if I had something, I would have been more upfront admitting what I was going through and perhaps being diagnosed and recognized. So just really quick, who we are. We actually are a company that focuses on women's mental health all across life cycle. We are starting with the most important area, and because of my own personal story with postpartum depression, but we are also have a dossier open and discussion going on fertility and then perimenopause, menopause, all mental health. The key difference is there are a lot of digital apps out there. We actually went through, because I'm a scientist and a physician, we went through and conducted our clinical trials. We have done 6 clinical trials, 3 in US, 3 outside US. We are very close to hopefully getting CE mark as well. And we got FDA Class 1 exempt for our general wellness product, and then Class 2 clearance for FDA for our postpartum depression product. Treatment for mild to moderate depression. We cut off at moderate because obviously patients who are severe need to get something more beyond digital first approach. Okay. Really quickly, I'll just go very quick. How does it, I think these numbers, I can perhaps go beyond this. A lot of these numbers are coming from the research that is done by Policy Institute. What we found out as we were doing our mapping of workflow in OB office, unfortunately, this is the whole pathway that somebody has to go through. Multiple times the question is asked, dismissed, EPDS is done, but not, how honest is anyone in answering? I can tell you firsthand, it does not give the right results if it is done in the clinical setting. So at the end, a lot of moms don't get any treatment like me. And, my repercussion of that was I was so scared. I never had enough someone to have enough second child. So I ended up with just having one kid. So how does it work? We actually have integration within clinical workflow in the physician office. Woman finds out, a physician, when they are flagged with our EPDS risk scoring within the EMR, they do additional screening of the woman using Edinburgh Postpartum Depression Scale. We tell them to do a referral right there. A referral comes to us. It's a digital first approach. We repeat EPDS to get the right data. The butterfly that you see, it's like an AI bot assistant. Then they meet a therapist. We are never keeping human out of the loop, although our studies were done complete digital software as a medical device category, but we still believe that it's really important to have that. In real world, you need to have a human touch as well. So they talk to a licensed therapist. Once they talk to a therapist, the therapist introduces and says, hey, you are going to start your digital journey, but I'm going to be here all through. You can chat with me. I'll be seeing your progress, and we'll have a repeat touch point session. So what it does is it's an 8-week program. 10-minute they have to log in. It's based on the principles of cognitive behavioral therapy, but everything is digitalized. If somebody wants, they can always talk to their therapist as well. So that's the solution. As I said, it's a digital and human in the loop, giving a capacity. We took 6 typical sessions that should be given, and then we modified them into small bite-sized lessons. This has gone through extensive studies, actually. Dr. Monkleff, we have worked with her lab as well on some fertility study, and then we have worked with Columbia University to conduct this trial as well. Just moving on very quickly, as we were making this program or digital intervention, it was very clear to us that we even need something to identify these women and flag them early on. So we have created a AI-powered intervention. This is not FDA approved. This is done on extensive data. So we are able to flag using claims data and EMR data at the point of care, working with health plans, the women who are going to be at risk. And then, we put them on the program, whether MamaLift, which is EPDS all the way from 0 to 12. MamaLift plus approval, as per FDA, is 13 to 19, and it cuts off at that. Just moving on, just a little bit more. What are the principles? I already talked about it. It's based on the principles of cognitive behavioral therapy, interpersonal therapy, behavioral activation therapy, and DBT, all these principles combined together. We tell it like a story. So that's the main thing. For me, it was very important to take away the stigma. So we never say that, hey, it's really bad. We talk about there are 3 moms. This is how they dealt with this. Perhaps you can relate to one of them. And let's talk about how you will handle this particular situation. So it's a very storytelling mode that we have incorporated in our platform. Very quickly, a little bit more about clinical evidence. I'll just touch the high point just because we don't have a lot of time here. We saw 86% improvement. It was the pivotal study that went through FDA. We had 142 patients in our study, 2:1 randomized controlled trial with a sham, and we were able to see 86% improvement. This is part of our 510(k) approval, which is available in the public domain. The endpoint that was used was EPDS, and secondary endpoint was HEMD. And we saw a 4-point improvement because that was considered clinically relevant improvement. So the patient showed 4-point improvement. We have done some ROI studies as well to demonstrate why. It's very simple. You're just creating capacity, right? So the idea is that how more people can get therapy by getting on the platform, especially mild to moderate. And, although all digital is good, getting evidence is good, one question that I'm always asked, what about engagement? Are you able to even keep patient on the platform? So we have a whole science behind engagement. What you see is a gratification garden. So they are able to get gratification on points. So it's done like a gamification, and then they're able to apply that to Shopify or Amazon to get stuff that they need, diapers and other things. So we have created a gamification for them to keep on coming back. A non-monetary game gratification, which is they see their garden growing and it's all nice, and then a monetary 25%, 30% off, whatever any vendors will allow us to. So I think that's all I have. Highly engaged user in entire platform. 75% of the women remain and complete. We keep on nudging them, but we do that by using our AI tools that we have in our platform to keep them engaged in the complete. If somebody derails, therapist calls them and says, "Hey, you have not been logging in. What's going on? Do you want to talk to someone?"
Dr. Dixit, thank you so much. We have so many questions to get to, so I want to jump into it. But these are both really, really exciting, innovative platforms. One of the things that I'm immediately thinking when I think about new novel treatments is, okay, how do you decide what's right for you? As a doctor, how do you decide what to recommend to your patients when there are more options? And I'm curious how each of you approach that. As you're thinking about how this field will grow and how you can help attract the right patients to the right treatment. Greg, you want to start?
Sure. As probably most people know in this room, there's only one FDA-approved product for a therapeutic for postpartum depression, and there's certainly room for Reunion's RE104 and probably multitude of others. I think the key thing is how quickly can a woman get relief, because this is an acute episodic condition, and that's what we think that our psychedelic derived therapy will ultimately bring them, because women can feel better day of. We believe we're doing a lactation study that will allow women to not have their breastfeeding significantly interrupted, and it can really be a one and done treatment with rapid effect. So those are some of the differences. Obviously, SSRIs, we all know the stats: 6 weeks, 30%. The product, the therapy that's on the market is definitely a way forward, but it still takes a couple of weeks and oral compliance. So I think the future is bright, and this could be something that women could sort of rapidly be referred to.
I'll just add to, we are not competing with medication, right? Physicians decide which patient needs to get medication and which should not. I think everybody needs to get some kind of therapy and talk therapy in some form or the other. That's the long term, and that remains with you because it's literally re-engineering your thoughts and getting out of it. So medication is a decision made by physician. We leave it at that. For us, the most important thing is very quickly we know who are the women who are going to engage with a digital platform and who are not. That's our decision point. And if we don't see them engaged, perhaps they're not right candidate for digital. They want to talk to someone live, and that's okay too. This is a personal journey, and everybody, every patient, every mom, every person needs to decide what's right for them.
Yeah, and you also, to your earlier point, there's MamaLift and there's MamaLift Plus, right? Can you talk about why you decided to have that sort of gradient of treatment?
So it was going across the continuum. I wish I was told that it's a matter of how you start thinking and organizing yourself very early on. Unfortunately, nobody prepares you for that. This is something that we never talk. I was prepared with I'm like super organized, prepared with my diaper bag, what I have to take to, for the birthing and what I have to do, all classes. Completely forgot that there's something up there that you have to also take care of. That's why MamaLift was born, to make sure that you're able to create awareness, orient, and do screening. We have a screening embedded within MamaLift.
Right. So it's not just for the crisis mode. Yeah. You talked about stigma, and psychedelics are an area that, there's certainly less stigma now than there used to be, but it's still sort of a taboo topic in some circles. How are you navigating that in your trials, Greg? And what have you seen since you started? How have you seen this change since you started trials?
Absolutely. I think there's been certainly an evolution of thoughts and perceptions about psychedelic therapy, but each day psychedelics are being tested and evaluated in different settings. Just saw one this morning. Narcissism, the use of psychedelics with people who have narcissistic personality disorders. So, I mean, it just was to me again another new area of exploration, but. The FDA has been kind to the psychedelic industry, I believe, in terms of its 2023 clinical trial guidance for the safe and effective development of psychedelic therapeutics. We are following it to a T. I have 30 years in life sciences, big pharma, mid-sized biotech, and we are developing this molecule just like we would any others in terms of the clinical trial rigor that is associated with a clinical trial and should be expected by patients and regulatory folks. So, I mean, as Oprah Winfrey said a couple weeks ago, if you saw it, psychedelics, she did a whole special on it. Psychedelics are being mainstreamed. Way we do it is, I mean, it takes, in our clinical trial, it takes 8 people to dose the woman. Okay, because we are so not concerned, but we want to make sure the woman feels comfortable. There are 2 session monitors, 2 therapists. There are 2 preparation sessions at least. If the patient wants a 3rd or 4th, they get them. And the advantage with our product, RE104, is that it's a relatively shorter. We designed it to be a shorter psilocybin-like product. So it's 3 to 4 hours of administration, which is great. Other psychedelics can be up to 10 to 12 hours. MDMA and LSD are examples of that. So what we ask is a woman to sort of, commit to the experience for 3 to 4 hours, have same day effects, and it could be a rapid sort of one and done thing. But there's certainly a lot of care given to the patient by trained what we call them session monitors or facilitators that are with the women. And what we're finding is that it's certainly not standard of care right now, but the women that are finding their way to our study who can be out to 15 months post delivery, that they're willing to try anything, and that they are aware that psychedelics are moving forward. This year will be a big year for psychedelics, just broadly, in terms of some major clinical trial readouts that are expected even before the end of June with a psilocybin-like product. Our product is very similar to psilocybin. It's not psilocybin, but its chemical structure is extremely similar. It just has the advantage of being about having the psychedelic experience of half the time associated with psilocybin or magic mushrooms. So again, it's something that I think we will have data mid-year, and hopefully with a positive outcome, we'll move quickly into phase 3.
Yeah, if Oprah says it, it's got to be true. I want to talk about payment. We've talked earlier today about how we pay accurately and effectively for maternal mental health and postpartum mental health care. Where, Dr. Dixit, you're a little further along in that journey. So can you talk about how you went through the process of securing insurance reimbursement and working on that process? And also, Greg, I'm curious to hear how you guys are thinking about that in advance.
So we just got approval last year. We are in the beginning phase of our journey, but I'm happy to report that we have 3 payers who have agreed to reimburse our product. So we are using existing codes and modifiers to that code to get reimbursement. So everyone is, for digital, this is where we are, like some are taking a viewpoint and considering as a medical policy coverage, right, as a device, and others have a bundled payment kind of thing with therapist and the product, the digital platform, both together. But we do have now 3 where we'll be launching.
And I mean, in our case, just so the administration of psychedelics will not be done at home. The FDA will not allow that, obviously. It requires the appropriate set and setting, which you do through what we call specialized treatment centers. And there's currently actually over 5,000 across the country being led by Johnson & Johnson's Spravato or S-ketamine product. Which is not really necessarily it's not approved for postpartum depression, but it sets up a nice network where psychiatrists and OBGYNs can rapidly refer them over to a specialized treatment center. They can get the product from a specialty pharmacy, and they are guaranteed that these folks have been trained on the product. They're session monitors, they're facilitators, they're therapists. But these are going to be, there's 5,000 now. Our product would be expected to be on market if we have continued positive outcomes in 28, 29. But this is the structure that's set up for it. Now, that's accessing the patients. How do we go about pricing it? Obviously, there's some ICD-9 codes that have already been issued for psychedelic administration of S-ketamine, and they are expected for other products that are in late stage development. But look, I don't want to sound like a lawyer, but it depends, right, on the pricing. It's going to depend upon the data. I mean, if we're able to show a 30-point drop in a MADRS depression score, the price might be X, because that would show great advantage. If we're slightly better than Lexapro, then I don't think we deserve to command premium pricing. So stay tuned on that. I'm focused on getting this trial done, and once I get this trial done, we'll go into phase 3, and we will start to sort of think about what an appropriate price is. But hopefully, it will be in an infrastructure that will have wide access for women for the 20% of women that give birth that need this.
Yeah. From a policy perspective, what do you feel like you need in order to be able to scale your products and get them into the hands of the people that need them? Dr. Dixit, do you want to start?
I would really like to see a more easier navigation from a health plan perspective, like who are the one we should be talking to, and if there is a clear blueprint that, here are the biggest struggle we had was to figuring out, like, where does this maternal mental health fall? Is it the behavioral health people, or is it the child and maternal health people within the organization? Went to one, and then they said, no, go to the other one. Oh, they do something about it. And they said, like, no, we don't do anything about it. So, right? Yeah. Yes. So I would really like to see, and finally, I think we have figured out, but there is variation.
Yeah.
I would really like, this is such an important topic and completely preventable. And I think, as Dr. Monk said, like, it's talking about two, not one. I mean, we don't have to even convince anyone that there is an unmet need. I've not seen any OB saying that, oh, we don't need any solution. They say, yeah, we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest frustration that I have heard from OB colleagues is that, we don't know what to do. Like, yeah, okay, we'll do screening. Then what? I don't know. Should I just give a sheet that go and figure out and take referral, and then they say, is it covered? I don't know. How much it is? I don't know. Like, so that's not an answer that any physician wants to do. So
Yeah.
my only call to action would be to figure out a more clearer path that if you have this data, here are the people that you have to reach to get more coverage and reimbursement.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that also speaks to the silos in the system, right? Yeah.
I would just like to also add, I'd like to see more tests. I mean, more screening. I mean, I conducted a little bit of my own survey and did a lot of research earlier this year, and there's just still way too many states that aren't mandatorily screening these women, and it's really unfortunate because we talk about the ones that just don't go, that the ones that just are not diagnosed, and then the ones that are even diagnosed that still go without treatment. So that would be a big change. And then lastly, a little bit more broadly to the whole psychedelic industry. I mean, there's still far too few sites where we can actually test and evaluate products like that. So there's a big bottleneck out there in terms of finding academic centers that are willing to take on the infrastructure necessary to do a psychedelic clinical trial.
Yeah, that's a good point. To round it out, obviously we're here in DC, and there's a new administration in town, and they're making a lot of changes. And there's cuts to NIH funding and contracts, and there's sort of there's more skepticism of pharmaceuticals. Do you see that changing the maternal mental health space at all, and your work and your peer companies that are doing this work?
I'll take a shot at that first. At the risk of being subject to a subpoena, no. But what we're seeing is that, look, in the area of mental health, we're actually, there's been discussion about restricting antidepressants, for example. And we know that that's, it's a gamble whether they're going to pay off for you and when. But still, I think just eliminating one major group of therapies is disappointing because, again, as I've identified, we're not really going to be able to promote this, until we have an FDA approval, which may not happen until 28, 29. So women still need something. That being said, though, on the flip side, the new Secretary of Health and Human Services has a history of being sort of pro psychedelic derived therapeutics in terms of background and approach. So it should help us, but I kind of feel like it's a neutral to a push, and it's not going to change our need to get robust and produce robust and rigorous data showing that we can have a major impact in postpartum depression women.
Yeah. Dr. Dixit, anything to add?
So we are in digital technology, and what I'm hearing, that digital ad efficiency, so it should be okay when we are talking to regulation for more approvals. Definitely we are watching and worried about Medicaid cuts because, as we all know, most of the pregnancies still happen under Medicaid umbrella. So we don't know what will be the impact of that, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm also hearing there is an appetite to give right tools to moms. If we are saying that we encourage having children, we need to give right tools. So that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But we are watching Medicaid. We don't know what that would look like.
Absolutely. And we have like 10 seconds left, but each of you real quick, what's one thing we should be watching for in the next 6 months from your companies? Greg, you want to start?
Yeah, please be on the lookout for data. Link with me on LinkedIn, but hopefully this summer we'll have a positive clinical development outcome of our study, which is called the Reconnect study. The woman is able to reconnect with herself, her family, and the world around her. That's the name of it. And we should have data, again, this summer to help move this forward for women.
We are just looking at launch and coverage in more and more states. So we are going to launch in 3 states, hoping to get to 7 to 10 by end of summer.
Great. Thank you so much to both of you. We're really excited to see what happens next.
Thank you, Maya.
Yes.
Thank you so
and
much.